Video is to go ahead and talk about the persuasive speech annotated bibliography and the persuasive speech requirements. And so we start with the requirements in order to understand what you'll be doing for the annotated bibliography. The purpose of a persuasive speech is to persuade your audience to adopt, modify, or change a behavior, belief, or attitude. And this description can be found on Blackboard. So you make sure that you read the section titled Submitting Your Online Speeches, which is found in the syllabus. The time frame for the persuasive speech is 7 to 9 minutes. You must have an outline with a reference page that has 6 sources, a visual aid, which is a PowerPoint, and you have to submit a YouTube link of your video delivering the speech 3. Now make sure you have a reference page. It has 6 sources. It's in APA format. You're getting a variety of sources. Make sure they're credible. In the presentation, in your speech, and in the PowerPoint, you cannot have videos. The PowerPoint should be concise with 6 by 6 rule, which means 6 lines with 6 words. Then as you deliver your speech, you have to make sure that you cite all your sources verbally. So that means that as information comes up when you're presenting your speech, according to Dr. Smith at Harvard University, you're letting us know you're citing the source. In order to receive any points for the assignment, there has to be an outline with a reference page that has 6 sources, a visual aid, which has to be a PowerPoint, and a YouTube link. Okay. So now, and also the description is on Blackboard, and then there's a place where you're going to go ahead and you're going to have different topics to go ahead and choose from. So we start there. So we choose a topic, then we do the annotated bibliography, then the information, the research from the annotated bibliography goes in your outline, then it goes in your PowerPoint, and then you deliver your speech through the YouTube video. And so we start by choosing a topic. When you have to choose one from this list here. I do not allow speeches on abortion or religious issues or different religions. They tend to be very controversial. They tend to be very polarized, meaning that it's black, white, there's no gray area, no room for persuasion. So those topics are not allowed. So, because you'll see abortion here, but you cannot choose it. But you can choose any of the other things that we see here. It talks about genetic engineering, genetic testing, genetically modified food, whatever you would like to do, you can go ahead and choose. And this list comes from one of the databases in the EPCC library database. And when you click on it, it gives you different sources. It will give you, different books, magazines, and newspaper articles. And you've seen this before in my other videos, but if I was to click on one of them, then it would go ahead and do that. It does a summary, and then it gives you different sources that you can use depending on your perspective, if you're for or against it, right? If you're in support or you're not in support. And so there's different things that you can go ahead and use here. Okay. So that's the controversial viewpoints, the EPCC, once again, the EPCC online database. Okay. Now, and you'll see there the list to go ahead and choose from, right? And so you can go ahead and there's things like, for example, I think that you want to maybe try to that you would get, support for, as in, child welfare, child abuse. And when you get those topics, it's not that you're ever going to have someone for them. It's that you're going to have a problem solution, right? What is a problem and how are you going to resolve, or how are you going to address this issue? What is your resolution? What is your solution for that problem? So you think about those topics like that. And some are for and against. When it talks about taxation, for example, right? Different things like that. But okay, so then after you choose a topic from this list, say it was genetically modified food, right? And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then you'll be selecting your research, and you'll be selecting the topic with specific steps, right? And so I'm just covering in this video and in other videos the main assignments. But you'll have your persuasive speech topic, and you're going to do the annotated bibliography on it, as we did for the previous speech. And you'll see as well the document that describes and explains the bibliography, annotated bibliography. So, as before, you're going to use a variety of library tools, you can employ different search strategies, you're going to have comprehensive bibliography, you're going to use the correct format, you're going to describe each source and annotated bibliography. And annotated bibliography gathers or researches the information for your speech. And it's done in other courses. You usually gathers your information, your research, or papers. And so you want to make sure throughout your career you're going to be asked to conduct research to support a thesis. So for this annotated bibliography, you need 6 sources. The first source being an ebook, the second being a magazine article, the third being a newspaper article, the fourth being an internet article. So for 5 and 6 students get confused, you have to choose one, you have to choose a 5th source, and then you choose a 6th source. But for those 2 sources, you can choose a journal article, newspaper, internet article, magazine article. You choose only one for 5, and you choose only one for 6. So it has to be a total of 6, right? You have to make sure that you use APA format, and you have to make sure that you incorporate a paragraph summary. As before, you have here, you put your name, my name, the date, your topic, and then you put in the source in APA format, followed by the paragraph summary, APA format, followed by the paragraph summary. And you saw this example before, but where you were doing the same format, right? Except that you have to have 6. Here there's only 2, but I'm just showing the format, so make sure that you have 6. Okay. So then that's the description. And this information will also be on Blackboard. Okay. Now the requirements for speech 3, we saw there that you have to have 7 to 9 minutes, you have to have a PowerPoint, you have to have an outline. The information, I've already previously shown examples of the outline of the PowerPoint, so we're doing the same thing. So then in your outline, you're using the same template that you use for the informative speech for speech 2, but now it's persuasive. Before you were informing, now you're persuading. So in the template, you go ahead and you just switch up. You put here, instead of putting to inform, you put to persuade in your general purpose. You still do your specific purpose statement, your thesis statement, and the organizational pattern. This is how you organize the main points in your body. You choose a persuasive speech pattern, causal pattern, refutation pattern, Monroe's motivated sequence, right? Then you're having the same format, same sections, transitions, main points. So you have introduction, your body, and your conclusion. And then you have your references. It has to be 6 sources, and they have to be in APA format. And you're inserting APA in text citation, right? And so then you want to make sure that you use the same template. So there was the example that was shown for the informative speech. Now you do the same thing. Your complete sentences, your double space, and then you're going to go ahead and insert in-text citation. It's when you have a certain piece of information, whether it be, and you're summarizing, or whether it be a fact or a stat, you have to let us know which author, who is the author of that information. So that's what in-text citations do. And you go ahead and put the last name and the year for APA. Keep writing, keep writing. You have introduction, body, conclusion, and then you have your reference page with your 6 sources in APA format, right? As we saw before. Now, usually an average that you see, there is no specific number of pages as long as you complete each section. You see about maybe 3 pages double spaced, going on 4, but you'll have that and it'll be double spaced, right? Okay, so this video was once again to go ahead and talk about the requirements for speech 3 and the annotated bibliography. Remember, of course, we're completing the annotated bibliography before we complete the requirements for the persuasive speech, but that way you know what is coming up and what we're going to be doing. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and always reach out to me. Thank you.